I stand on the sidewalk right outside the church doors. I put on my vestments, a fancy name for the garb we wear in worship, and put out a chalkboard A-frame sign. It's the kind of sign that restaurants, bars, and coffee shops use to list the day's specials or display catchy phrases like "rosé all day" and "congratulations, you made it out of bed." My catchy phrase is this: "Ask me for a blessing. God's grace is meant to be shared." I write it on the board, wipe the chalk dust from my hands, and then just kind of stand there. I try to look open and friendly, but not overly eager or desperate. It's an art, really. Over the next 30 minutes, most people will walk by me without making eye contact. Several will smile and nod, or say good morning. 10 or so might actually stop and take me up on the offer of a blessing. All things considered, that's a pretty decent turnout. I suppose it doesn't hurt that New Yorkers tend to be bolder than most, as evidenced by the many questions I get. "Are you a nun?" is the most common. "Can I take your picture?" is a close second. It's no surprise that many people don't know what to make of me and my blessing booth of sorts. I realize that the whole thing is weird to begin with, but especially for those who have little to no religious frame of reference. For years, an ongoing decline in religiosity has been reported by the Pew Research Center, Gallup, and Barna Group, leading organizations in providing in-depth research on faith and culture in America. According to all three, we live in an increasingly post-Christian country. More and more people identify as nuns, those who have no religious affiliation, or duns, those who once had a religious affiliation but no longer do. And while plenty of cities are considered less religious than New York, I don't exactly live in a hot spot of religious observance. I was raised as a Southern Baptist in the Bible Belt, where it's unusual for someone not to be a Christian. In New York, however, I often feel like a missionary. As such, I'm also not surprised that many, maybe most people here aren't familiar with some basic religious symbols in mainline Christianity. The white clergy collar that fits tightly around my neck is a prime example. Once I was wearing my collar with a simple black clergy shirt while riding the subway. A stylishly dressed man took notice. "I love your shirt," he said. "It's just so puritanical." Turns out he was in fashion law, did you know that was a thing, and wanted me to tell him the designer. Many Christians don't recognize the significance of the collar either. A group of young women accosted me at a Chipotle one Sunday afternoon and said they were inviting new people to join their Bible study. They had no idea that the collar meant I was a minister, who incidentally had her own Bible study. I politely declined and complimented them on their faith and courage. It takes some serious boldness to invite strangers to join your Bible study. It's a boldness I don't share. It's true that I look like a spectacle on the sidewalk and that I want to get people's attention, but I don't invite them to attend my church or any of our programs. Of course, if they ask about our worship service or ministries, I welcome them warmly. It's just not why I'm there. My goal is simply to be present with people for the sake of letting them know that God is present too. This happens through having conversation about life and God, praying with people who are open to that, and pronouncing God's blessing on everyone who asks for one. It's all pretty low-key, actually, and I've found that people really do want to talk about God. They have spiritual stories to share. They have burning questions. And some need to say they've been burned by the church but still love Jesus. These conversations are rare in our everyday lives. Religion is understood as a private matter and a taboo subject. But the need to give voice to our spiritual selves is percolating right there beneath the surface. I performed at a couple of open mic nights in New York City. I didn't sing or do stand-up. I simply told a story. It's a story about being chased by a gorilla in Africa and praying to God that the gorilla would get to somebody else before he got to me. It's a wild story, to be sure, lots of drama as well as humor. The point, though, is that I spent most of my time on stage reflecting on prayer, human nature, sin, and redemption. After leaving the stage, strangers approached me wanting to learn more and talk about their own